Hi there, this is Debbie Rambus, Tony's mom, and I'm the executive director of the Compassionate Friends. Again today, we have another message of hope, and we have an individual, Pat Malone from Georgia, and he's going to share his message of hope as well as a little bit about his son, Lance. Thank you so much for joining, Patrick.
My pleasure. Thanks for asking me.
And it's a situation that, all of us would just prefer not to be in this, but we are. So, Patrick, as you know, I've been going along and asking people just three questions, and our focus is to try to provide others a little bit of hope, especially during the holiday season when it's so especially difficult. So, if you wouldn't mind sharing, Patrick, what brought you to the Compassionate Friends?
Well, actually, my wife um, drugged me kicking and screaming because at the time I didn't think I needed a support group. And she was in no shape to drive herself. So, being the responsible husband, I drove her, got to my first meeting, and quickly realized how much I needed help.
Yeah, and I think I felt the same way. You're going along, you think okay, and then you get with some other people that have experienced a similar loss, and you're like, oh my goodness, some of those things perhaps that I thought I was going a little bit crazy, and I soon learned that, those were kind of common things. Looking back, what would you say are some things that Compassionate Friends has helped with?
Well, I think the most important thing to start off with initially was the fact that I was not alone in what you just described. The feelings that I was having, other people had or were having those same feelings. So there was some initial comfort to realize I wasn't by myself. Um, Secondly, what I learned to do or what helped was people were there who were willing to listen to my story, no matter how many times I had to tell it, and I needed to tell it because the more I told a story, the more I got kind of in a position of being able to manage it and deal with it. And then the other thing that happened over time is I came into the realization that I needed to help people, much like I had been helped. So for a while, I was involved with the board of directors in a couple of leadership positions on the board to try to help return the favor, so to speak, that I had been given. And then the last really realization was that I needed to leave the organization, and that was hard because it's such a warm and comforting place. But I knew I needed to get back into my regular life. I mean, not it wasn't the same, but I needed to go back to more normal.
Yes, and I agree. And I do know, Patrick, that you've been so very involved and instrumental in helping people not only individually, but also at the national level. As you said, on the board of directors, one of the trustees for the foundation, and holding different leadership positions within those. And, I think what you've said is true, that Compassionate Friends isn't necessarily your forever place, but you did stay there. You stayed there after you got the help that you needed and reached back and helped others as they came along. And I think that's really what I call the magical thing about the Compassionate Friends is it's not that we're professional counselors. It's just one person that's been there before, whether a mother, a grandmother, a grandfather, a brother, a sister, a father, helping each other so that we can show each other the way. We have a lot of people that have been watching these videos, and some of them are very early in their grief journey, Patrick, and others, they may be farther along, but they didn't have the help of the compassionate friends. So
Mm-hmm.
we're trying to leave everyone just with a tidbit of hope. So do you have a message of hope that you would like to share with others?
Yeah, I think the message that I would like people to understand is when you first encounter this, when you first have a child die, grief is really in charge initially. But as you work on your grief, you start to manage it. You start to, I don't mean control, but you start to manage it better, deal with it better. And in the end, there is a sense of normalcy that kind of returns when you've been through this process. It's like into the valley and out again, I think is a classic phrase that describes it. There is a deep um, grief, but you can work through that. There's hope. You can return to a sense of normalcy. So regardless of where you are in the process, know that the end is there. It may just take you, and no one knows how long it'll take people to get there. Everybody is different, but know that there is a return to normalcy.
That's such a great message because I know early in my grief journey, I thought to myself, I can't do this the rest of my life. And it does. Many people have said it gets softer. And I like how you phrased it, that there is a return to normalcy in your life. And of course, we'll always miss them. We never get over that. We always have that hope in our heart, if you will, because our love goes on forever. Well, thank
That's
you so
correct.
much. Thank you so much, Patrick, for sharing those positive messages. And I wanted to let everyone else know that we have a wall of hope on our website at compassionatefriends.org. And there are people that have already put up messages for you that might help you along your journey, along the grief journey. So thank you again, Patrick. And thank you for your inspiration as well as everything that you've done for the organization.
Thanks, Debbie.